Hello again, everybody. Another wee hours production here. Intro video to the September 1812 turn, the campaign in Russia, war and peace. It's a big turn here. The Russians are making a stand near Borodino, and Napoleon is going to be taking them on. What will happen? It's going to be a very important turn, the outcome of which could decide this scenario. So let's see what happens. Okay, folks, here we start with the September turn. I'm going to move that turn track marker over there. It's going to be September, and this was the historical time frame of the Battle of Borodino, which was right here. And it looks like our big battle is going to be right next to that. So, rather historical development. Here's Napoleon gathering his troops, stacking up for the attrition. Had some discussions recently with the designer of the renewed game, and he's actually put a lot of effort into thinking about the attrition rules. But at the end of the day, these were not changed by the designer. In effect, what happened was the original attrition table was left intact, and that's fine. The problem is that the original attrition table and the attrition rules call for attrition happening across the entire map of Europe for one die. So if you roll a 6 is a 6 in Portugal, a 6 is a 6 in France, Austria, and Russia. So this can cause some devastating losses. Of course, you're supposed to ideally not stack up more than 5 units. I mean, that's obvious without any special recommendations in the rule books. You can see that you're much better off if you only stack up to 5 points. And of course, at 2 points of stacking, you're quite immune. But of course, a force that size isn't that effective when we're talking about a battle of Napoleonic scale. So somewhere along the line, you do have to stack up to get prepared for the inevitable. Also, sometimes if you don't stack up, that makes you vulnerable to a counterattack from the other side who can group up. So it's all well and good to talk about not stacking more than 5, but in practical terms, when armies are in the proximity of each other, you really can't afford to do that. All right, all that being said, there's several variants that are out there from the old game, some of which were discussed by and proposed, indeed, by Mr. Gant himself. So he's aware of the issue. He has kept the rule the same, but he's encouraged the use of variants. My preferred variant is actually the way I played it wrong for many years while I was playing it, is that every stack rolls for attrition on its own. To me, that was intuitively clear. Each locality is going to be able to successfully feed or not feed the army that's stacked inside that hex. So that's why, each individual army would roll for its own attrition roll. So if you roll a 6 on one army, clearly you think that would balance out for some of the other armies. It also mitigates the imbalancing problem that if the French keep rolling 6s in Russia, and the Russians only roll 1s every time for their attrition rolls, then the French army gets frittered away, while in the same climate conditions, the Russians don't lose anything. So that doesn't make sense to me. So I'm not going to change it for the game, because right now we've been playing that one roll is the attrition roll for the entire side, but I don't think that's the best way to do it, especially since if the weather's bad here and cold and nasty, then it's going to be cold and nasty over here too. It's not going to be tropical paradise with palm trees and bananas and roast suckling pig. Okay, this is going to be similar conditions for both of them. The Russians have the advantage already that it's their home country, and they both suffer in wintertime with an extra +1. That makes sense. And apparently, for whatever reason, Russia was a harder place to gather foodstuffs, so it suffers once you're on board 4. an extra +1 on top of that. So doing that by stack really makes a lot of sense to me. It mitigates the overall effect of bad attrition rolls. All right, all of that being said, let's roll the French attrition roll, and see what's going to happen to them in September. And here we go. They're rolling low, and they did. Okay, so let's see what the effect of this attrition roll will be on the French. I'll make the adjustments and do the movements of the armies. Right, here we go. So if you roll a 6 on the attrition table for the entire army last turn, Napoleon lost 12 steps. This time they rolled a 1 and lost 0 steps. So that's such a wide range of results. I think in the future I am going to go back to, unless somebody gives me a good reason not to, rolling for each stack. As somebody's pointed out, on attrition you have to count each army anyway. It doesn't take that much longer to roll an extra die roll for each one. All right, all that being said, you can see we've got 2 pretty large battles here that could decide the fate of Napoleon. Napoleon himself is attacking there with the force that you see up at the top, and at the bottom here you've got, oh, do I want to do this? Take that off. Yes, Victor's leading a force there. Not the best force you could get, but not the best leadership, but that's what he's got. So Victor will be in there doing that attack, but we're going to take care of these 2 attacks probably separately. I guess you're not really supposed to do that because one battle could influence the outcome of the other, but we're just going to play that both sides need to win the battles. So just to keep things moving along. All right, so as you can see, we've got Barclay with an entrenchment, 14 strength points. Napoleon's leading this force. Both sides have some possible reinforcements. Devout's leading 10 or so steps here. Constantine has some steps. Is that Constantine? It's really hard to read these things. Benningsen. Okay. So we'll see if they can reinforce, but now we've got this battle. Napoleon has a lot of cavalry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cavalry. 9 plus 7, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 to 14 is a 3-2. Well done, Napoleon. So at a 3-2, the net modifiers are going to be Napoleon plus his morale. Let's check the morale here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't suppose that Prussian cavalry can be there because he's out of supply way up there. So he's not there. So that's 21 points to 14. Fortuitous, some of that involved some force marching. Devout will be bringing in another substantial force. So we've got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, we have a superiority of French troops here. So it'll be a 3-2 chart. Napoleon plus his morale is 5. Bagration plus his morale is 5. Plus they're entrenched, so there are 6. So it's a net +1. Now we will do the tactical matrix selections. Nobody's going to withdraw from this battle. We'll just do the full thing, see somebody might be trying to fool somebody else here. So Napoleon is the larger force. Let's go ahead and roll here. So Napoleon will be the black die. Well, just in case you weren't certain, all of these troops up here that you see are the ones that are currently in the battle. Okay. All right. So let's roll this thing. Get this unbelievably beautiful dice tower into action. So Napoleon is going to be, I got 2 dice here. He'll be, those 2 dice are too similar. Here we go. Napoleon will be the blue die for the tactical matrix, orangish die for the Russians. here we go. A 5. Napoleon picked a square. Ooh. And they charged the square. The other thing is, I suppose I would have declared a cavalry charge for Napoleon as well. So that means that, I'm not sure how that works with a tactical matrix. Let me check that. There aren't any clear rules on how a cavalry charge works with the tactical matrix, but we'll continue to use the tactical matrix as an additional modifier. So, going back to the chart, we're 3-2. Napoleon's getting a +1 because he's using cavalry. He's also getting a +2 because the Russians valiantly charged. I suppose one could argue that they would go for a cavalry charge too, but they've only got 3. They would have probably done a counter charge. Okay, so we'll do it that way. And so Napoleon will wind up with a net +1. And here's the roll. Drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. Ooh, a 5 on the 3-2. Not great. Not at all great. Okay. Could be, let's see. Combat results table. Flipping around the charts. A 5 at 3-2 is each side loses 1. The smaller force is 14 steps. So each side will lose 2 steps, and each side will lose 2 steps of cavalry. So that's 2 Cossacks here. We'll put the dead units in the Baltic Sea, and they can, at least 1/2 has to be French, so they'll do a French step. Okay, now for reinforcements. Devout has a +2 to reinforce. He did reinforce, whereas Benningsen has a +1 to reinforce, and he failed. Uh-oh. Okay, let me set this up with Devout in the play game. Here, playing field. Okay, all the forces have been added. You can see the guards arrived with Napoleon. And looking at this, we know that the Russians have 12 points. Certainly, we know, I mean, we added about another 10 points, so we've got 7, 14, plus 5, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 26, 27. So it's at least a 2-1. Okay? So Napoleon's at 2-1 now, which is pretty good. Do the Russians want to try to fend him off? Why not? They do have a die roll modifier advantage, but they probably will not commit to a cavalry charge. Napoleon will once again send Ney in on the horses for a cavalry charge. That negates all of each side has the same morale and leadership values at this stage due to the entrenchments. So now it's down to the tactical matrix results. And here we go. Napoleon, a 4 and a 4. Both sides are bombarding, so there's no net effect. So it's simply a 2-1 attack. And here we go. Net 2-1 attack. Napoleon continues to roll like crap. And it's just 1 loss for the larger force, which is actually 2 steps. Okay. 2 steps of cavalry. A Bavarian and a French. All right, so now what does Napoleon have left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Plus 7 is 13. Now let me go across the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Plus 10, 23, 24, 25, 26. Yeah, he still has more than 2-1. But we have to see if Tormasov can roust himself to join the combat. And he does this time. Let's see what he's got to add to the fray. 2, 3, 4, 5. And some more cavalry. Okay. So, 5 plus 12 is 17 to, I think, 26. Better count that out exactly. Let me do that again. Hold on. Pause this. Right, it's 30 French versus 17 of the Russians. And this time Napoleon will not do a cavalry charge, so he's starting off at a net -1 at 3-2 at the moment. 3-2. So here we go. Matrix results. This time Napoleon charged, and they skirmished, which was bad for the Russians. So it's a net +1 for Napoleon at 3-2. Let's see if Napoleon can dig in here a bit. Oh, look at that, a 12. There it is, a 12. Now that will kill the Russians. They're going to get a D3 result on this and have to withdraw. A D3 with a total strength point of 17 is 6 points, one of which must be cavalry. It'll be 7 points because the French have more cavalry. Okay, whereas the French only lose 2. 7 points to 2 points. Let me take the losses off. We mustn't forget the possible battle losses. Let's start with Ney. We got a lot of leaders here. Ney. No, almost with a 9. Okay, can't quite see that, can you? There we go. 9. Beziers. Nope. Eugene. Nope. Devout. Oh. Note. Marat. Nope. Jerome and Napoleon. I'm not so sure Napoleon can roll, but here's Jerome. Jerome almost did. He got nicked. Napoleon. Yes, he's okay. The Russians have these 3 guys. Bagration. Who do they got? Bagration, Barclay, and Constantine. Bagration. A 10. He's trying to die. Barclay. 10. And Constantine. Ah. Cheap. The foam is really bouncy on these things. No. Okay. So what's happened is Napoleon will advance up with approximately half his army and leave approximately half his army under Devout. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 13, 14, 15, and 1 will stay with Napoleon for 14 or 13, something like that. Devout will stay here. Cavalry point goes up to, I think that puts Napoleon at 15, exactly. Actually, I don't think it's 15 because they should have only 28 points there, I believe. Okay, so Devout will take 2 leaders, 3 leaders. So we got all these leaders up here. I guess they need... Oh. I always forget about this. You have to leave somebody behind to maintain the supply line. Let's put a French unit there to do that. Okay. Sorry, guys. The stupid supply line happens to go away sometimes when you advance. Okay. There's the situation. Their massive army is now reduced to 10 steps. I think Napoleon has about 28 steps. A huge victory for Napoleon. Let's put a victory point over here for him. Okay. Very exciting. So that's 1 net victory point. Now, Napoleon needs to take over Smolensk. They didn't do it yet. Okay. Right, let's do the Tormasov battle. I'm sorry. It is not the Tormasov battle. Who is it? What's your name? Oh. It is Tormasov. Excuse me, Monsieur Tormasov, for doubting you. Okay. Well, Tormasov has the choice of going into the Minsk entrenchments were fighting it out. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 against about 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Be a 2 to 1. I can do a cavalry charge if I wanted to. And I think we'll try to defeat this. We will fight it out. They'll do a cavalry charge. The net morale effect differential. Tormazov's got 4. Victor. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, he's only got a morale of 1. Yeah, it looks like. So it's 2, 4 to 2, 5 to 2. A 5 to 2, tactical matrix. Victor, maybe he should say, oh man, this is no good, I should withdraw. But we're not withdrawing. We are the French. We will not withdraw. Here they come. Tactical matrix. A 2. So Victor tries to envelop with a 1. These Russians are liking to skirmish. And that helps them. Helps the French. So it's a +1 on the 2 to 1 chart. An extra +1. However, they were at -1. Okay, so they were at -2, so it's a -1. Here's the -1 on the 2 to 1 chart. A 6. Okay, that's going to be each side losing 1 step. They're going to be losing cavalry, though. Oh, they did a cavalry charge. So that's right. So net -2. A 5 on the 2 to 1 is not going to help Tormasov, so he'll lose a step. The French will lose a French step. And do they want to fight again? Yeah, why not? We'll do it. It's a 2 to 1. Let's do the tactical matrix. No cavalry charge this time. The French do a 5, which is a square up against a charge. Boy, French are winning the tactics every single time. That's a net +2. So it's a net 0 attack on Tormasov. Arr. And net 0 attack. A 7 on a 2 to 1. Well, that's only a loss for Tormasov. So 3 to 10. Yeah, 3 to 1. I think we'll retreat into the fortification. And they will besiege the fortification. So Victor will go with approximately half his force in there, do something like that. Okay. Let me just check on when we do a besiegement roll. This would be the first turn of it. One moment. Okay, yeah, the siege roll immediately takes effect. So they will have a 1 siege going on here against them. And that will, if they roll a 1, basically, will end the siege. No, it's a 5. So, no, they will besiege them. So at least we did a siege here. This keeps them in an intact state. And maybe the Russians can relieve the siege. I don't know. It doesn't look good, though. I think we're going to have to recognize that Moscow is going to fall as the Russians, because we just can't afford to have... We're not allowed to entrench in Moscow. And there's nothing that's going to stop Napoleon right now probably from getting to Moscow. Unless he really rolls badly on a chart. He's just got overwhelming force at the moment. And I still have to roll attrition as the Russians. Okay, so that's going to end a very successful turn. In fact, that's 2 victory points for the French, because they won a victory down here against Tormasov, who had 5 points. Let's do the siege loss, leader loss, I should say. I always seem to forget that. Tormasov. No. Victor. he's fine too. Brushes off a little fleck of dust from his epaulets, and he's ready to go. Okay, so an exciting turn. Let me make sure I didn't make any more supply line mistakes. That seems to be my big bugaboo in this game so far. But it's a good learning process to remind myself of how this game works. So, yeah. Russians are going to get some reinforcements to help replace some of their losses, but they need to get the heck out of Dodge, really. And that's going to involve a retreat towards Orel, realistically, because that's the closest supply source that they're going to have once they abandon Moscow. So we'll see if they can actually do something about that. Overall, a devastating turn in favor of the French. All right, let's get going here with the Russians. Let's get their attrition roll out of the way. They've got a +1, -1 for the entire map. And they rolled a 2, so they should be okay. The attrition roll at 6 to 10 is even to 0 at that stage. So unless they have a stack of over 15, which I don't think they do. Taking a quick look, I'm absolutely sure that they don't. So what are these guys doing up here? These guys are part of Bagration's army. I'm just leaving them out there. So they got 10 in there. That's okay. Let's double check what's over here. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they're fine. No attrition this turn. Must be a lovely September. Okay, so let's do the moves for the Russians then. I'll move them and then come back and do a final recording for the turn. Okay, we've done the Russian moves. Quickly point out what I did is I grouped the entire Russian army here. Should be safe from some attack from Moscow. They could force march on both sides, but that's a bit risky. No reason for the French to take that risk at this time. They have 21 strength points up here in this army. Napoleon really can only get a 1-to-1. So you could make an argument they should try to hold out in Moscow, but, you know, historically they did abandon Moscow and let the French have it, but didn't surrender. So we're going to try that strategy. I don't really want to face Napoleon's troops, even at 1-to-1, in a massive battle there. I don't think. Just intuitively, I don't want to. I'm not sure that that's good intuition or not. I might be biased because I'm thinking about history, but I'd like to see what Napoleon does. See what kind of attrition he gets. Will he try to go to get St. Pete? I've left St. Pete open, so it has some sort of bait possibility there. Down here, there's the siege. And then down here, which I haven't shown, is, the southern forces are still poised to break supply lines and generally cause havoc. So, a little bit of a conservative reaction, but it was a pretty bad turn overall for these guys. Okay, so we'll go from there. Don't think there's much else to say. Oh, I should say that the Russians also had a very good attrition roll, so they lost nothing as well. So I think I already did that roll. Yeah, I think I mentioned that already. Okay, that's it.